everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mission Snapshot. We are so glad that you've joined us today, and we're really excited for the short stories we have to share from the mission field. But before we get into that, we would like to announce that we will not be having an episode this Thursday as usual because we're taking a break for Thanksgiving. So we want to go ahead and wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and we hope that you have a wonderful time sharing what you're thankful for and spending time with your family. And if you want to leave what you're thankful for this year in the comments, that would be pretty cool. We will be posting links for this episode after the show and interacting with any comments or questions that you might have. So today is Bible Worker Day, and we are joined again by Christina, and we're excited for the stories she has to share today. So Christina, where are we going?
We are going to Gujarat,
Okay.
which is north of Mumbai, that little part that sticks out
In the
there.
west of India.
That's right, on the west coast there.
Okay, cool. So, what stories do you have?
Well, I have some stories. As I was working on these stories, I was thinking more about, we have a lot of stories about idol worship, and I was doing, so I decided to look that up to see what that means to the Hindu believer. And I learned some things that, it made me look at idol worship a little bit different than I have in the past. They don't necessarily think of them as worshiping idols per se. They see them as more representations of their gods, so it reminds them of their gods.
So it's supposed to help them like visualize.
Right,
Okay,
right.
interesting.
And like the little shrines in their houses and stuff, that's when they light the candles and do the incense, that's supposed to help bring them that peace then and know that their gods are near to them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Right, but as we've learned from a lot of testimonies that we've had from our Bible workers, that when they connect with Jesus and the Bible workers pray for them, they feel a difference and they sense a peace.
A piece
They
that
share that a lot.
that doesn't come from what they were doing before.
Right.
Interesting. So is that what your first story is about?
Yes, we're going to talk about a lady who was a Hindu.
Okay.
And grew up. She's more of a professional lady. She works in a government office. She's not married, so she, but she has brothers, sisters. But the Bible worker had come to her home several times. His name's Dirubia.
Okay.
So he'd been visiting this home regularly, but they weren't very interested.
Okay.
And he would invite them to prayer meeting and such, but they just weren't interested until one week when he came and stopped by and visited them, something changed. And so she had this interest. And so she decided to go to church that week. And she really liked the church service. And that also prompted her, what DiRubio typically invited her to was like a prayer meeting that he did. So that also, because she liked the church service, decided she would check out the prayer meeting.
Okay.
So she did that and enjoyed that as well. And so during this time, also that's going on in her life is her family has like crops. And so there was a lot of rain, extra rain than normal going on.
Oh, yeah.
So they were pretty sure these crops were going to fail this year.
Because everything would just get washed out, basically, and
Right.
drowned. That
Right.
wouldn't be, yeah. That's the family's livelihood often, so that's a big deal.
Yes. So she decided to take this concern to Dirubia and ask him to pray about it. And he did. What was interesting is he actually went with her, maybe her other family members too, but they went out into the field, the actual field there, and prayed there.
Prayed in the field.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they prayed about that, and the time went on, and she continued to be a part of the church and doing things. And when the season came, the crops were, they were okay.
Wow.
Even though it did continue to rain, God didn't stop the rain, but he preserved the crops.
Wow.
Right. And so that helped them to even more believe in God. And they also shared how they sense this peace. They have a different peace in their home that they hadn't had before.
Yeah, like when the Bible worker prays with them
Yeah.
and stuff like that, they are able to experience that. That's really cool. To be able to both, have that internal feeling and also to be able to see like physical evidence with the crops that, that God is listening and that he cares and stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. They asked that they're thanking God for His mercy. They recognize His hand in preserving their crops, and they also ask that we pray for them as they continue to learn more about Him.
Yes, definitely need to keep them in our prayers.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your next story?
Okay, so my next story is from a Bible worker named Menge.
Okay.
Menge. And so he was visiting with this young man who is not married. He still lives with his family.
Okay.
And he visited them and was asking if they had any prayer requests. And so the young man decided he would share about his hand. He'd been having some hand pain and not able to find any solution. You know, the doctors had given him some medicine, but nothing was really happening. So regularly, Menge would visit this family and he would pray for the man's hand. It didn't happen instantaneously, but over several days, the man noticed his hand was feeling better.
Wow.
And so this caused him to be more interested in what the Bible worker is sharing and in his church and stuff. So he started to attend a prayer meeting, church service, I'm not sure. But so they're also this, and so he's got his whole family involved. So
they're also still learning.
Yeah, absolutely. They're and growing in their interest. Yeah, attending more of the church services. But he asked that we pray for his family, that they will all learn more about Jesus.
Yeah, definitely.
But he recognizes that God healed his hand.
That's pretty cool. That's one of the things that just always astounds me about the people in India is like when God does something for that, like them, or like keeping the crops, they're just, though they believe that that's God, they can see, you know. I don't know. I think sometimes we like to make excuses sometimes. Oh, it just happened that way. But like, you know, like it was God. They know. And it wasn't even like they were believers before, but it helps them to really see who God is. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a simple faith. And we, I think, try to make it more complicated than it is.
Yeah, so a lot to learn from that. For sure. What's your next story?
My next story is about a man named Levchen.
Okay.
And he's a middle-aged man. His wife has passed away.
Okay.
So he's a widower. And he has 2 sons. His eldest son just recently got married. And he has been a part of the church for about 4 years.
Okay.
So, but recently, or a month or so ago, he started having leg pain that he couldn't explain. It was making it harder and harder for him to walk. So he asked the Bible worker to pray for him. And not only did the Bible worker pray for him, you know, the whole church family prayed for him. For several days they prayed. And the pain got better and eventually went away. Again, not happening instantaneously, but over time it got better. And he also attributes this to God, you know, and the prayers. And this really strengthened his faith. And so now he is more excited and more encouraged than ever to be going out and talking to his relatives and his neighbors that they need to know about God, that they need to get rid of the idols and worshiping the idols, that, you know, Jesus hears their prayers and answers them.
Wow. That's really amazing. God is doing really awesome things.
Yeah. So I have one more story.
Okay.
This is another story about peace. This lady, Chetna, is a maid, and her husband is a daily laborer.
Okay.
So they live a pretty simple life. They have a son and a daughter. And they were visiting in another village and realized that the Bible worker was having a prayer meeting in one of their relatives' homes. Oh, they also have a strong Hindu background.
Okay.
I forgot to mention that. But they strong, like all the rituals, you know, did all the holy day. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
everything that they were supposed to do to be in good standing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They were doing all the right things, but not experiencing any peace in their home. They are still struggling. And so they went to a neighboring village, like I was saying, and realized the Bible worker was actually having a prayer meeting in one of their relatives' homes. And so they actually just went in to hear, you know, what was going on. And really enjoyed the stories, the Bible stories the Bible worker was sharing and about Jesus and the miracles that he did when he was here. And so they asked the Bible worker to come and visit them in their village, in their home. And so he did. The next week he went to their house and was sharing with them. And during that visit, he told them that he actually gave them part of the Bible to read and was telling them about prayer, but also said that they really needed to get rid of the idols and the pictures of the gods in their home, the Hindu gods. So they did, and they started praying, and like almost instantaneously when they got rid of those things in their home, they could feel this peace.
Wow.
This peace enter their home and enter their lives. And so they are also really excited about learning more about Jesus. They are not worshiping idols anymore. They are attending the regular prayer meeting and visiting the church with the Bible workers and stuff
really
regularly.
Exciting. Yeah, that's really exciting, because I'm sure it's just like, one of those things you get curious, what's happening with my family? Like, you know, I wonder what's going on, and not expecting their whole lives to change, but for the better.
Absolutely. God's timing is amazing. It's amazing to think how God must be orchestrating everything. I mean, helping coordinate these things. Of course, we can often mess that up, but, we have free choice. But
yeah, of course. But he just... yeah.
Is helping to connect people to hear truth.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, these stories have really made me think about peace and, and really thankful for my relationship with Christ and the peace he brings. One of the verses that I've often claimed is Isaiah 26:3, where it says he will keep them in perfect peace, and if we just stay focused on him. And it has made a difference in my life.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a promise too.
Right.
Like, that's something that we can count on, because God says it in his word.
Absolutely.
And so, it's not only a good one. It's not only a good promise for them, but for us as well. And we can keep that in mind as encouragement in our lives. And so, yes, thank you so much for sharing these stories. Please continue to keep these Bible workers and these people who are still learning about God in your prayers. He's doing so much, as we can already see, but the prayers are always encouraged, because life is challenging no matter what, and we really, want to be able to share as much encouragement with the Bible workers and with the people as possible, even if they don't know that we're praying for them specifically. The prayers do make a difference, and that's something that we keep seeing over and over again. So please do keep them in your prayers. If you would like to support the ministry that the Bible workers are doing in India, we'll be dropping a link in the comments down below, so that you can visit our Bible worker page. And if you would like to learn about any of our other projects, you can visit our website at jesusforasia.org. And there you can find a wide variety of projects, not just Bible workers, but also evening schools, also media ministries, also different missionaries projects in several different countries. And we ask that as you look at those projects, that you will pray for them as well, because it's really a huge encouragement and a huge blessing to those who are doing God's work, to know that there are people who are lifting them and their ministries and their needs up in prayers. And we thank those of you who have done so already, and we just really appreciate your prayers on behalf of the missionaries and the Bible workers and all of JFA's projects. Yes. So if you are watching this on YouTube, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. And if you are watching it on Facebook, to like our page so that you can get notified when we post new episodes. And we thank you once again for joining us, and thank you to Christina for sharing these wonderful stories. We're so excited for next week's stories as well. I'm sure they will be wonderful. So thank you again. And this has been your Mission Snapshot.